It's tough if you don't speak English like my family.
My dad knows English a little bit, but my mom doesn't know any.
So I help my family a lot. I translate to them with the cops, in the doctors, the bank, at school.
My dad got sick. His kidneys were gone. The doctor doesn't speak Spanish, and I have to go with my dad because he's our dad and we have to help him.
It's not easy for people to learn a language overnight. It takes a while. In the meanwhile, you've got to function in a community.
In Laos, my parents were self-sufficient. People looked up to them. When they came to the United States, they have to look up to other people to help. Things like translating, like going to the grocery store, going to the doctor's office. They couldn't do it on their own. They needed someone to help them.
I mean, kids culturally, when they're dealing with a monolingual, non-English speaking adults, are brokers, always. That's been true throughout our history. And so it's natural that it happens in healthcare and governmental settings.
Social services, health insurance, Social Security, even things as common as needing telephone service or PG&E service. It still requires interpreting and filling out forms, and children do that for their parents regularly.
When I have to translate, I get nervous sometimes. And it's real hard for me. Sometimes I don't know some words, and I have to be making up words, and I'm like, oh. And sometimes I even lie, and I feel guilty, but I can't do anything about it.
The service provider knows that somebody speaks English, and they don't bother to obey the law. It's cheaper. It's understandable to try to save money. It's wrong. It's illegal, but I can understand the desire to try to save money, and you do it by saying, what's your mother's name? Let's fill out the form. Can you tell your mother to be back at 3? And then when she comes back at 3, you start getting more complicated, and you fall into the pattern of using the kid because it seems to be working. Hey, I told the kid to tell her to be back at 3, and she got back at 3. So why can't the kid serve as an interpreter for more complicated situations? And the trouble with that is it presents huge legal and medical problems of competency.
I may have started translating for my family when I was in the 5th grade. And then in the 6th grade, I became an official translator for UC Davis Medical Center. You know, you listen to the doctors, and you understand something, and you try to turn around to the Hmong family, and you try to explain to them in ways that they can understand. And being a kid, not knowing the full Hmong language, you struggle for words. The message did not get across as it should have. Both sides lost out.
Sometimes I'll find the word, but then sometimes I'll blank out and I don't know what to say.
When children are the language brokers for their families, I think it takes them out of childhood and puts them in an adult realm. When parents are here, we really make a big effort to translate. Occasionally, a person who's supposed to translate doesn't show up, and so sometimes the kid ends up having to be the translator.
Quiero que le digas lo que te estoy diciendo.
He said that the check marks mean that I did do my homework.
That's right.
My dad said that he didn't know about this and he didn't understand,
That sets up all sorts of psychological problems. The child isn't the child now has to switch into the reporting mode and then ends up having to be yelled at by the parent and yelled at by the teacher while they're also delivering the message.
Our governments have, as a whole, decided that it's a good thing for people to learn English, But that while they're learning English or if they're unable to learn English, it's important for us to provide all the residents of this country with services, whether they've learned English or not.
It's a little bit more expensive to implement these kind of language services, but on the other hand, it's well worth it to have every resident of your community fully integrated into what's going on. If you don't, then there can be more tragic situations and ultimately more expensive situations.
People think of it as sort of a loosey-goosey lefty thing, that it's a civil right, sure, it'd be nice if you did it, but what's the importance of it? And the real importance is that these people that are obligated to do it are doing really important things. They're providing medical care to people, they're providing police protection to people, they're providing protection to domestic violence to people. What we've got to do, and I haven't done a good job of it yet, is to make people understand that if that's important, it's got to be important for everybody that you could serve. And that the only way to make sure that it's important, that that important stuff you've got and are delivering gets out, is that it gets out in the language of the people.